Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of the bonus bonus episode. I can't freaking speak. Anyway, in the last bonus episode, I couldn't quite get to everything that I was going to talk about because of the interruptions. To put it simply, my doorknob on my door is not loose like it's gonna fall off, but you'd have to be here to understand. Anyway, yeah, so there were still some things that I have yet to talk about. Namely, the weapons. That's one of the things. Not only that, but there are a few musical Easter eggs within this game. For example, this level uses Ancestral Beast as the battle
mine is
music.
open.
Yeah, anyway. Sorry about that.
That heart powers the forge. It needs to be reactivated.
I guess I'll talk about one of the cut weapons. So, you might notice every single weapon in our weapon wheel has a secondary variant. You have the combat shotgun and super shotgun, the grenade launcher and the rocket launcher, the shredder and the impaler, the cycler and the accelerator, the ravager and the pulverizer. But there's an outlier. In development, there was another variant of the Reaver weapon, which, fun fact, initially in development was going to be called something else. How do I know this? Well, first of all, let me send a link to my friend. There we go. Alright, so, I have my handy dandy phone with me. Hopefully y'all can hear me. But, yeah, so, you might remember that we got the chain shot in Siege Part 1. That's this weapon right here. What you might not know is that this weapon initially did have another variant. So in the trivia for the Reaver chain shot, as seen in the doomwiki.org, not the fandom one. So this weapon, as I think I said it before, this weapon is from the Carthul Marshes, which is one of the levels that we went through. Additionally, this weapon was originally called the Reanimator during its development, which is a reference to H.P. Lovecraft's story, Herbert West Reanimator. In the game's files, it's called the Reanimator Striker. And as I stated previously, this is the only weapon in the entire arsenal to not have a secondary weapon. But there was initially going to be a secondary weapon called the Nova. However, according to Hugo Martin, with the arsenal the player already has, they decided to scrap it. However, in the game's files, if you're playing on PC and you access the command console in the game, you can actually get the unfinished weapon. Essentially, it is a homing-style weapon with a very limited range, but it shoots balls. I'm not trying to sound funny, that's just how it is. It just shoots like homing metal balls, essentially. But the weapon is very much unfinished, as you can see by the... Anyway, Um, yeah. So, as you can tell, this weapon right here is quit shooting at me! There we go. Oh, I just made that guy fly forward. Anyway, another weapon. The BFC wasn't always going to be a crossbow. In fact, during development, it had a very similar appearance to how the Cosmic Realm looks, with a very similar colored hue to it. In fact, it actually looked very similar to the BFG that we've seen previously in other games, albeit with a more cosmic look to it. There's some other stuff as well, like how, pause this real quick, just so I could pull the thing back up. Also, again, I would like to thank my friend Fluxy for telling me about the audio in the actual playthrough of the game, because I honestly had no idea that that was even going on. No one ever brought it up. Anyway, so I'm going to pull out different weapons from our arsenal, and yeah. So starting off, we have the Lost Soul hitting me in the back of the head. Let me just go somewhere quieter. I'm going to start off with our starting weapon. And just... yeah, there it is. I'm just gonna be over here real quick. Yeah, this seems like pretty good lighting. Okay, so in the trivia for the combat shotgun, which this weapon has no unused things, except for one thing. This weapon does have an upgrade to it that is kind of a callback of sorts to Doom 2016, the tune-up upgrade. It is very similar in concept to the Charged Burst upgrade that you could get for the combat shotgun in Doom 2016. Like that. Only instead of you having to hold down the Alt-Fire button and then press the firing trigger, you just press the trigger itself and then there you go. But that's not all. As I stated before, this weapon is indeed the very same shotgun that the Doomslayer originally had in Doom 64. How do I know this? I have on screen right now the weapon as it looks like right now. You could infer that, well, wait, how do you know it's actually the shotgun from Doom 64? Well, that's because of the fact that, if you look right there, right behind the trigger, you'll see what is very obviously a, formerly used lever action. And if I show it off, there's no longer a lever action animation. However, the super shotgun does have a lever action animation. My personal headcanon is that they wanted the Slayer to have a weapon that would be quick to fire without having to worry about priming it, and instead they gave the mechanism to the super shotgun in order to load the shells more efficiently than having to put down the shield, load the shells, and then lather, rinse, repeat. So, there you go. Additionally, if I pull it back up, the trivia for the Doom 64 shotgun states that the shotgun has a slightly different appearance and a more simplistic reloading animation. The shotgun only tilts backwards slightly after firing instead of it being turned vertically and pumped. Observing the weapon's pickup spray, a barrel band appears to be visible over the forearm, meaning that the weapon likely cannot be pumped. It is possible that it is a lever-action shotgun instead, which would explain the simplified cocking animation, as the cocking action is out of the player's view. Sure enough, if you were to play that game, you would hear the pumping animation, but you wouldn't actually see it. Or not pumping animation, the pumping sound effect. Which, makes sense. Next, I want to talk about the Impaler real quick. In development, this was actually meant to be more of a crossbow-style weapon. However, they ended up changing it to a standard rail spike weapon. Actually, hold on. I need to pull something up real quick. Oh, right. So, in the trivia for this weapon, so the concept art of this weapon, I forgot to say we were going to be looking at the super shotgun. I don't know why I did that. Okay, super shotgun. So, the weapon's reload animation is an homage to the T800 reloading? Reloading is a lever-action shotgun in the same manner in T2 Judgment Day. Anyone who's ever seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about. Additionally, did you know that this is technically not our first time seeing this weapon be a lever action? The Marauder from Doom Eternal actually uses this same kind of weapon. If you don't believe me, yeah. Just watch the animation closely when he reloads the shotgun in battle mode. Next, now we can talk about the Impaler. So, in development, the Rail Spike class was started from this weapon. So, the Shredder was added later in development. Originally, the Impaler was started on as some sort of crossbow, while this concept was eventually realized with the BFC. Later, the Impaler was reimagined as what the artist envisioned as a heavy power tool used in Sentinel construction. The design story was refined to that of a heavy-hitting weapon. Not concept artist. id Software's artist Colin Geller conceived of a hammer that strikes the runes on the spikes, which ignites them and contributes to their power. So, in the game's lore, which we'll see right now, it says here, it uses a crystallized hammer, which, makes sense. We have a crystallized hammer right here, but you can also see the runes on the very back of the spikes. So, yeah. Additionally, in the game's files, the Impaler has several different names. There's Rail Spike, which is the weapon class, Spike Launcher, which was likely an in development name, and Harpoon, which is, kind of a reference to what it would actually be in real life, is a harpoon. If it were to have like some kind of tether attached to it, like some kind of rope. Oops, my phone decided to say no. In addition, in the game's files, the ability Lobotomy, which is the upgrade that you get, was called Sever in the game's files. Next! Oh, that voice crack. Let's talk about the Shredder. So, according to Hugo Martin, the development name for this weapon was Blackjack. No hookers required. The Shredder is still referred by this name in the game's files. According to id Software's artist Colin Geller, the Shredder originally started as a heavy blunt projectile launcher, but later became a rapid-fire dart shooter, which is more of a reference to. That was a weird flash. Yeah. If you remember me saying this, I like to think of the Shredder here as a sort of nod to the nail gun from the Quake games. Then we have the fact that, despite the fact that the final concept art only has a. Wait, I read that completely wrong, and I swear to God, I don't have dyslexia. Don't worry. It says here, despite the fact that on the final concept art, the weapon is having the crystal hammer, in the game, the Shredder only gets it after the No Frills upgrade. Which, if you don't know, is the upgrade that gives it a faster firing rate. Right there. Anyway, now to get, now to get into the accelerator and cycler. The accelerator, if this would load. Yeah, I can't really see anything. But there is something about the cycler, which is. Other than that, I clicked combat shotgun by accident instead of a cycler. So the cycler, in press footage released on March 31st of this year, the weapon was referred to as the twin barrel in the upgrade menu and in the weapon wheel. In the upgrade menu, the cycler had a second tier upgrade for Amplify, which could be freely swapped between via the Arsenal section in the Codex. It was not present in the final game. Its description was as follows. Cascade. Hitting a shock demon with the shield saw causes lightning to continuously arc to nearby demons. Also, the shock and overload had different descriptions. For shock, it says, dealing enough damage to a demon with twin barrel applies shock. Shocked demons take increased damage and arc lightning to nearby demons when they die. For overload, killing a shocked demon with a twin barrel increases the damage it deals for a brief time. Obviously, the thing that they changed was the name of the weapon. So, yeah. Then we have these. So we're going to start off with the Pulverizer, which was first shown off in the reveal trailer for the game. So, in pre-release, in the developer direct in January of this year. So if y'all remember that, where we actually got the release date and the details about how the game plays and all that stuff, um, it was shown that the pulverizer skulls glowed red when the charge was active, not yellow like in the actual final game. Additionally, on March 31st, when the press release footage was released, the upgrade menu showed another upgrade for the pulverizer, but in the final release it was given to the Ravager and called the Supplier. But this upgrade was called Predator, and it would have done the same thing, just with this weapon instead of the Ravager. In addition, uh, you may notice the skulls have runes on them. Believe it or not, that is the vacuum rune that is engraved on it. And in addition to all of this stuff, the weapon was originally called the Bone Crusher instead of the Skull Crusher. Now getting into the Ravager. Oh, right. So, in the game's files, it includes a video showcasing a cut upgrade for the Ravager called All Cylinders. In this video, the skulls are glowing yellow, like the Pulverizer, instead of blue in the final game. However, it's safe to say that upgrade went unused, and obviously the yellow glow was sent to the Pulverizer, as you can see right here. And then finally, we have the chain shot, which I was just talking about. Right. The grenade launcher and the rocket launcher. We're going to start off with the grenade launcher, I think is what we got first. Let's see. Yes, so we got the grenade launcher first in the Abyssal Forest level, and then we got the rocket launcher in the Forsaken Plains level. The grenade launcher. In development, and there's also inspiration for this too. According to the id Software artist Ethan Evans, so a different artist, the design of this weapon was inspired by ancient cannons and medieval weaponry, which, given this game's, nature of being very sci-fi but also very medieval, it makes sense. To make it feel old and battle-worn. Also, according to the artist, the ball-shaped grenades with spikes were chosen because they best suited the tone of the game. Evans later created an initial proxy model of the weapon, which was used for prototypes of the game to nail down gameplay before further refinement. Also, the grenade launcher's rough 3D mock-ups were eventually used as base for the rocket launcher during its development, but its silhouette and reload were altered. There is a reference to this detail in the game. In the codex of the rocket launcher, it is mentioned that its design was born from the grenade launcher. Which, yeah. The funny thing is, this weapon initially had the exact same model as the rocket launcher, just with the grenade dropper on the side instead of it just loading in a rocket. So it would have been literally the same weapon, just with the grenades, like in that little loader. And then finally, speaking of the rocket launcher, Never mind. I thought there was something else there, but I just talked about it. But we do have oops, one last weapon, which is the ballistic force crossbow. That is this big boy right here. The ballistic force crossbow was named as such partially as a reference to the Bioforce gun, which was the name given to the BFG in the 2005 Doom movie. However, everybody calls it the big fucking crossbow because of the big frickin' gun. However, this weapon, as I stated before, was originally not a crossbow. As stated previously, that role would have been given to the Impaler early in development before being carried over to this, which, given the fact that the weapon looks kind of like the ethereal crossbow, it makes sense. If you don't know what the ethereal crossbow is, it is one of the weapons in the Heretic game. Actually, I guess I could see this in the actual unused section of the game. Yeah, so that's some pretty cool stuff. But now I want to talk about something else. Something that I've been meaning to talk about for a long time. This is not meant to throw flack at anybody, although I will name someone's name. But just know that his opinions are purely his own, so I will not disrespect him. The timeline of Doom is not that convoluted. I'm sorry, Mr. Sandy Peterson. You are a highly respected member of society. I have no doubt about that. But this game series doesn't have a convoluted timeline. If you want a game series with a convoluted timeline, Zelda. So, what do I mean by this? So, there is a timeline for this game. No, not game. This series. You got Doom 1, Doom 2, and then Final Doom, then Doom 64. It's important to note that while Doom 3 is connected to the series, it takes place before the mainline series even began, in terms of chronological, storyline, and it uses a different Marine, so that is not the same guy. So that's why I'm keeping that omitted. So, in a matter of speaking, Doom 64 is literally Doom 3. In terms of the series timeline, the actual story. So you're probably thinking, okay, well that's good so far. You got Doom 1, Doom 2, Final Doom, and then Doom 3. But wait a minute. Wait, no, not Doom 3. Doom 64. But wait a minute. Final Doom is a game? It's more so a continuation of the original game's stories. So you got Doom 1, then Doom 2. Final Doom carries off from where the other two games left off. Therefore, it could be treated sort of like a DLC, but it could also be seen as somewhat of a sequel, but it's also a prequel. So think of it sort of like Doom 2.5. At the end of Doom 64, the Slayer, who was originally known as just the Marine, decides to remain in Hell to make sure that the demons can't escape and terrorize Earth ever again. However, in the lost levels which were added in 2020, it is revealed that he was kicked out of Hell by the sibling of the Mother Demon that you fought at the end of Doom 64, So you have to fight your way back into hell, kill her, and then continue to rampage. And at the end of that game, sure enough, the Slayer's Testaments. He chose the path of perpetual torment. So, where does this game take place? It's a direct sequel to Doom 64. If you don't believe me, look no further than the combat shotgun. As I stated before, the combat shotgun is a modified variant of the combat shotgun the Slayer originally had in Doom 64, complete with the fact that it has a very simplistic animation of, this time no reload, it's semi-automatic now. But yeah, so we have all that. We have the fact that the demons, except for the newer ones, such as the Whiplash, which chronologically this is her first appearance. But yeah, we have the imps here, which look very similar to their Doom 1, Doom 2, Final Doom, and Doom 64 counterparts. Same goes for the Nightmare Imp, which I believe was first introduced in Doom for the PSX, or PS1, depending on what you would like to call it. Ow! Anyway, I could stop being interrupted by demons trying to rip my face off, thank you. Yeah, so the Super Shotgun is pretty similar in concept to the Combat Shotgun in that it also doesn't have a reload animation in Doom 64 as well. Instead, you can just hear the ch-click. My personal theory is that the Combat Shotgun was modified to be a semi-automatic weapon, while the Super Shotgun ended up getting the lever action upgrade, not upgrade, modification. If you think about it, it sounds better than you might think. It sounds more practical because that means that the Slayer doesn't have to worry about stopping and reloading every 2 seconds to reload the shotgun. Instead, he could just lever action flip the gun, and then that's it. Then we have the rocket launcher, which, if I pull it up real quick, because I do have evidence that suggests that this game is an immediate sequel to Doom 64. You're probably thinking, what? You'll see what I mean. Okay, never mind. It was just the, I guess I was thinking of something else. I thought the rocket launcher was, like, a returning weapon from 64. It's not. Um, I don't know why I said that. But, Let's see. I'm trying to see something with the super shotguns stuff. Let's see. Um, uh, yeah. So what I was trying to get at with the super shotgun is that the super shotgun. I wonder if I want to say it was probably just because of like cartridge restraints, because you got to remember we're talking about an N64 game, on the Nintendo 64. But I want to say maybe in some kind of lore, like explanation, because it does state that the Super Shotgun was inspired by the Slayer's success with a modified combat shotgun. So, what I'd like to think is that it's possible that while they did find the shotgun, like the normal one with the Doomslayer, like this one here, it's possible that what might have happened is that they found his other weapons and modified them with their own technology and their own stuff. Just to make sure that, everyone's on an even playing field. Which I guess makes sense. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah. But now I want to get into something else. I'm gonna be a dumbass by showing all the different death animations in the game. I have 4 life sigils, but here's the funny thing. Life sigils work differently from Doom, not
Power
2016.
activated.
Doom
2
Eternal.
more switches left.
So in Doom Eternal, when you get killed in combat, you just carry up from where you left off if you have an extra life. You can carry a maximum of 99 extra lives. In this, however, you can carry a maximum of 4 depending on if you adjust the thing. However, one thing that you'll notice, as I will happily show off here, please note I am not saying I suck at the game, I just want to demonstrate something. I'm going to die here, and I'm going to show off the different death animations. There we go. You have died. Would you like to use a life sigil? You'll notice the game was being gracious because of the difficulty we were playing. But we're not going to use a life sigil. Instead, I'm going to show that's one of the death animations. Please note that is, well, one of the only times I've died in this game, but I was doing that for demonstrational purposes, so it doesn't count. Next, I want to show what happens if you die while on Surat. You're probably thinking, wait, what? Yeah, that's right. I'm going to show off what happens if you die while on the back of a dragon. Let's go ahead and skip this right here. Yeah. I think the easiest way to do that is by getting to that Titan, or we could get to the turrets. But just note that, again, I'm not counting this as total deaths for this game. It's more so a way of demonstration. Because I literally beat through this game on my first playthrough and on this playthrough without any deaths. The only reason why I am dying on this is just to show the different death animations, because I have not seen these anywhere. Anyway, let's just go ahead and go through this. Oh, there it is. Alright, you big lug, give me a hug. Yeah, that rhymed. I'm just gonna... Take my health. I think that's probably because of the fact that, if you're playing on a lower difficulty, by default, the player, regardless of if they're playing on foot, on dragon, or in the mech, they take far less damage, but you can adjust it. So let me just... Come on. Good God, this takes forever. Yeah, you can see that there's already sparks coming out of the engines and stuff of the dragon. So, see what happens when we die. I'm just doing this for demonstration stuff. Alright, one more how to do it. Yeah, we just blow up. There's that. And now, for what happens if we die in the mech. Easiest way to do that is, of course, through the barrier core. Because there is also the other Atlan mech levels, but I'm going to start with this one, because I'm going purely off of, like, when we first, like, experienced these things. Although for the Slayer's death, like, on foot, that was just because I was already in a level, so why not? Anyway, let me just do this. Because I did see this death animation somewhere else, but it's not really much of a death, it's more, well, you'll see. So we got a Titan over there. Hey buddy, you want a hug? No, he doesn't want a hug. I wonder if this also shows, like, signs of visible damage the more damage you take. Kind of like with Sarad, how you'll see the sparks flying out of the fans and stuff. Okay, there we go. Wow, that was a bad voice crack. Right there. Yeah, that's the only thing I see is just the low health indicator and the red visor. Alright, come on. Alright. We're at 100 health. Come on, finish us off. Alright, now we're at 38 health. Okay. Alright, finish me off. Really? Hey. Yeah, that's what happens. You'll lose some of the appendages of the mech, and you'll just fall over. So, yeah. But there is one more death animation that I want to show off in the first hell level in the game, which is Forsaken Plains. So, this has appeared across the 2 other Doom games that have appeared in recent years. So Doom 2016 Eternal. Can I not have a voice crack? Also, I need to plug in my headset whenever I'm done, but thankfully I'm
We
almost
tried to
done
attack here
with this
before,
stream.
but we couldn't break through to Azric's fortress. Look out for damaged saplings. You may have to repair one to reach the target.
Any enemies to face? Yeah, I think there's some over there. Ow! Alright. Yep. He's just like, woo! Okay, there's lava over here. I could show it here. I'm sure you know where this is going. How did you not die from that? Okay, there we go. Alright, with no enemies left, may I present to you a returning Easter egg from Doom 2016 in Eternal. I'm stepping into the lava. It's gonna take a while. I think it might help if I blow myself up. There we go. So, the good thing is, if you choose not to use the life sigil, you'll get to keep it. Now, do it. Hello. Not gonna do it. I was trying to show off that it does the Terminator salute that you would see in Terminator 2. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that. I apologize for that. You can still find the animation if you look on YouTube and see the Easter egg, but just know that they brought it back for this game, which is really good. With that, I am pleased to say that this has thoroughly completed, at least in my point of view, because I don't know if there are any other things to talk about in this game's development, aside from the fact that some of the music is kind of a nod to older Doom games, like how Ancestral Beast, which is used in the Abyssal Forest, which is the level just before the Ancestral Forge, that uses a little bit of a, I think it's called a leitmotif, or leitmotif. I don't know how to pronounce it, but the point is, it uses part of it uses a sort of sample from Nobody Told Me About Id, which if you listen closely to that song, you'll go like, you'll hear boom, 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 meow, meow, boom, 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 boom. Like, it sounds very similar to that song. Anyway, with that said, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for joining me on this Let's Play. and I'll see you all in the very near future for some spectacular stuff coming up in the near future. For now, catch you later.